Hi guys, thank you for watching another episode. Today I'm going to be covering the case of the frozen Kansas City Chiefs fans. I know that's kind of an odd title. It almost sounds like a Sherlock Holmes story, but it's just an interesting case that's in the news that I thought I would share with you in case you haven't heard it. Of course, I'm still drinking Bones coffee. If you have an affinity for coffee, make sure and check out my affiliate link. Today I'm drinking the French vanilla coffee, and just look at that bag. I just love the artwork. I think that's what drove me to the coffee more than anything else. It's got all kinds of fun swag. It's good whether it's hot or you drink it iced. It's very smooth, all kinds of flavors. Make sure and check them out. And when you do use those affiliate links, it helps me make more videos. So I'll say thank you in advance. Get yourself a nice cup of coffee, and we'll make more videos. We'll talk about true crime and drink coffee. So the Kansas City Chiefs fans. Okay, so you're talking three upper 30s gentlemen. They're not young kids. David Harrington was 37, Clayton McGeeney was 36, and Ricky Johnson was 38. So we're talking upper 30s. They were found dead outside in the backyard of Jordan Willis's house on January 8th of this year, and we're in 2024. Now, Jordan Willis is actually a scientist, and went on to study and become an HIV specialist type scientist. But in the high school, his nickname was the chemist because he would mix drug concoctions for his friends so they can get high. So this is something he's been doing for a long time. So he's in his mid to upper 30s as well. They have a football is a game night. They're going to have a party. Several other people were there as well. But these three gentlemen wouldn't make it home. Now, Willis claims that he waved them all off about 2 o'clock in the morning, and then he went and passed out. And then 48 hours later, he said he was still unconscious. He didn't hear the doorbells or all the phone calls, all the frantic stuff, because he was passed out from being inebriated as well. Now, I seen something. Nancy Grace goes on and says it's impossible for you to be passed out that long. You're going to have to pee. You're going to have to eat. If you've ever seen a drug addict passed out, if they need to pee or vomit, they're going to do it. So they would be covered in that. So that's not a logical argument in my book. But basically, he said he was unconscious for 48 hours, whether that's true or not. He swears he didn't know they were still back there. He says he waved them off before he went to bed. And yet the temperatures got so cold, these three men froze to death. So to me, it seems obvious that they were already passed out and didn't notice the temperatures cooling off, or they would have tried to get warm, even though they were inebriated. So they obviously passed out in the lawn chairs in his backyard. They did not go home at 2 o'clock in the morning. Willis passed out in the house, and these three men froze to death. Now, initial toxicology reports say they found cocaine, they found alcohol, they found THC, and they found 3 times the amount of fentanyl to kill somebody. So this is initial toxicology reports. It's not the finals. But according to the Daily Mail, he has been known as the chemist since high school because he would actually mix these concoctions so his friends could get high. So this is where you think, what the heck happened here? Well, they find Willis 48 hours later. He's wandering around his house in his boxers, drinking a glass of wine, and he's oblivious, doesn't seem to know what anything's going on. And the only reason why they're found then was because one of the gentleman's fiancés became frantic and went over there and broke in and found her fiance frozen to death in a lawn chair. And so the authorities come. He claims he didn't know. He was hauled out in handcuffs during the investigation. They swear it's not a homicide investigation. They swear that it's just a mysterious death. Willis goes and immediately checks himself into rehab afterwards. He claims that he didn't know that this is what happens. He obviously has a problem. He's going to supposedly go get help. But here's where people are going off the rails. They are thinking that this man should be hauled in for murder. And this is where we need to understand there's a fine line here. Where does his culpability end? And how responsible is this man? Now, in reality, he was the one that had the party. He was the one that had the drugs. He was the one supposedly probably that mixed them. So it is his fault. But would it be classed as murder? Probably not, because there was no willful intent. Um, it would probably be more of a wrongful death lawsuit type of thing, or it would be manslaughter, something along those lines. But Willis claims that he went into rehab and he couldn't even go to his friends' funerals because everybody was blaming him. And of course they're going to blame him. I mean, who else is there to blame? Now, in reality, the police have adamantly said this is not a homicide investigation. That's not what this is. They want to know who supplied the drugs. They want to know how they were supplied. Were they in drinks? Were they, how were they ingested? How did they get in the systems? It needs to know if they were mixed by a specific person, or did each individual take whatever they chose. There's all kinds of things that they have to go through. But it's real easy to say Willis mixed everything and killed it. And so we need to kind of hold off and keep our emotions out of it as much as possible until we find out for sure, because you've got 3 grown men who, if they chose to take all of these things separately on their own, then it's not Willis's necessarily his fault. He might still be culpable to a certain extent because they died in his yard and he didn't get them out of the cold. But you also have there's a lot of gray legal areas there that this is going to be. So this is a case that I'm going to keep watching, and I will let you know as things change and as things update. I'm kind of curious to see, did these men take all of these things separately? Did they take them, how did they take them? Or was this something that was mixed by the chemist and the chemist made a dreadful mistake? And so this is a case that I'm going to be watching to find out. We'll find out what happens to Jordan Willis, and of course there's going to be people that will always blame him and never forgive him and never anything like that. And as a grieving family, you can't necessarily discount that. You can kind of understand, but I'm kind of hesitant to say that this was murder. I'm thinking more of, if it was mixed wrong, you couldn't legally call that intent. So I don't necessarily think there was intent to kill. So now we're just going to have to watch the case and see if it's going to be classed as wrongful death, or if it's going to be classed as an accidental overdose. We're going to have to figure out what happens, because they also need to find out, were they killed by the drugs or were they killed by the cold? Either way, they were killed by both, because if they were passed out, they couldn't feel the cold. And so it's just a dreadful, horrible case that you've got 3 men in their mid-30s who have families, possibly, who have kids, possibly. I didn't look into it. They've got people that love them, and now there's nothing but trauma after a football party. So I'll keep you posted. I don't know what's going to happen in this case. Part of you wants to just blame the homeowner and say it's their fault, because we always, as humans, we need that person to blame. And sometimes the blame is so widespread that you can't really blame the one person. So I'm kind of hesitant. I'm not going to say he's innocent. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say because he still had the drugs in his house. So we're just going to have to wait on this one. This one's really disturbing, and I will keep you updated as soon as I find out more. Bye, guys.